Right then, so I reckon it's coming up to about, I don't know, 9, half 9. So we arrived to the reservoir at first light, and it's only me and Matt here. We were joined by our third party, Jake, over here on the opposite side of the res. Now, we were stood here for a good, I don't know, good half an hour, 45 minutes. As it started to become light, and we didn't see any signs of any fish activity at all. So what we've tried to do is really just kind of cover as much water as possible. So Matt's taken this right hand side, as you can see, with this pontoon and sort of all these sort of obstructions and features to fish to, and I've gone a little bit just down the bank, and I am just fishing open water and just fishing 60 yards out, and I've tried to try and create my own feature really with bait. Now I've probably put about half a kilo in because there are good head of bream in here. So what I've tried to do is maybe just try and cause, you know, a little bit of disturbance, a bit of a feeding frenzy, and try and get the fish interested that way, and hopefully maybe 1 or 2 fish move in. I think what I'm going to do is stick sort of 2 rigs on one spot, or sort of on the baited patch as such, and then just fish one off of it, maybe like a rod length or two rod lengths off of the actual baited spot itself. So that's the thinking for the moment. A few different tactics. Matt's just fishing sort of like singles with 3 bait stringers just in and around, like I say, the obstructions. I'm fishing over a baited patch, like I say, put about 10-12 spoms out, and we're just going to see what happens throughout the course of the day really. We'll probably do a recast a little bit later on in the day, maybe just introduce a little bit more bait just to keep sort of attraction levels going in. It's only sort of hemp, as of hemp, 10mm boilies and 15mm boilies that have been glugging all week, so they're really smelly. You know, they've been taking on a lot of oils and stuff like that, so just trying to draw fish in really into a spot or into an area, and hopefully pick 1 or 2 off that way. There's only one other kiddie just down to my left. He turned up a little later than us, but he's decided to fish down to my left hand side. So yeah, just gonna have to see what happens throughout the day really. Gonna have 3 different baits on, 3 different colours, and just try and work at it really this way. In regards to like features and stuff like that, obviously in the reservoir, is, as you can see, it's pretty bland. There's not really a lot to fish at, so apart from, like I say, the odd buoy or the pontoon ends, there's not really a lot to go for. So hoping that one baited patch might just bring 1 or 2 fish in, but let's leave it there for now. The mist and the drizzle keeps stopping and starting, so just as we're trying to get out from underneath the brolly to get bits done, it soon starts again. So just going to keep our eyes peeled on the water, and if anything obviously happens, we're more than happy to go and move on to fish if we start seeing them down the other end. So let's see what happens over the next few hours, and then we'll catch up a little later on through the morning and check back in with any developments. Right, just want to take a minute to run you through the rigs that I'm going to be using today. Yesterday I tied up some fresh new slip D rigs with quarter curves on them, size 4. I've gone big, so it's go big or go home on this session. Not having, hopefully, not having a session of bream bashing. So fingers crossed, these are going to catch me a juicy carp or 2. Flip the camera around. This is what I've got tied. So as I mentioned, got the slip D rigs. They're my favourite rig for sort of bottom bait / wafter presentations. And as you can see, I've got a 18mm hardened hooker on that one, dumbbell shaped. That's a triple ends. They've been soaking in triple N oil pretty much since I've got them, so they've really taken on that oil. And each one of them have just been tipped with triple N pop-up, just halved, as you can see there. All of them just been sliced in half with a knife and just mounted on to the dumbbell hard hooker there. So I've gone with 2 sort of pastel colours, got a yellow and pastel pink, and then the third one, which I'm going to fish off the baited area, sort of like a rod length or so, is going to have a fluoro super fruit pop-up on that one. So they're all 18mm, and then you've got 15mm halved pop-ups mounted on top. And now these just sit upright as so. Like I say, they just act as wafters, even though those hardened hook baits are bottom baits. That half pop up just helps them sit upright. So that's what I'm going with rig wise. I've had a little chuck around with the lead. That's going down really firmly, so they don't need to be, you know, really long. I'm not going into X, Y and Z amount of inches of silt. They're going down quite firm, so I'm probably just going to go with standard sort of, I don't know, 6-7 inch hook link. And then I'm going to put, like I say, fish 2 on the baited patch. I've been out and spommed up already just before this rain decided to set in. Put sort of, I don't know, 10-12 spoms out. I'm going to fish, like I say, the 2 pastel ones in amongst the mix, and then the fluoro one just off the edge, maybe like a rod length or so off the edge of the baited patch, just as sort of like a single. See if any of the you know, fish, the carp, just hold back from maybe like the bream and stuff like that getting stuck into the bait, and a little bit more wary and cautious, so maybe being able to nick one that way. But that's what I'm going to do for the first few hours. Obviously the reservoir's pretty, you know, it's pretty bland. There's not really many features to fish to really, apart from obviously up this end where Matt's fishing to the pontoon and a few buoys dotted around here and there. Otherwise I'm just, like I say, I'm just going to try and create myself a baited patch and make that my feature for now. So let's get these rigs on the rods, let's get them out and see what the next few hours bring. Right then, so first development of the morning. The guy up to my left, he's now moved. He's making his way right down to the bottom end. But we've just seen a fish proper show itself about 30 yards out in front of my swim. Me and Matt were just looking through the binoculars, just having a scour around really, now that obviously the mist and that's cleared and there's a lot better visibility of the whole reservoir. Typically I'd literally just put the binoculars to my face and one has literally lumped itself out, literally full on lumped itself out. But I obviously missed the full show of the fish. Matt said it was a mirror, and the mirrors in here are immaculate. They're incredible looking fish. Now I want one badly. I've seen some pictures. Matt showed me a few pictures of what resides in here, and these mirrors, yeah, they're wow. There's something that you expect to see in some of these really, you know, well-known lakes. But yeah, it's probably showing about 30 yards out, so I've just whipped in that rod that was the left-hander, that was the rover, off the baited patch, because if there are any fish in here I don't want to really disturb that baited area, so them two are staying out there. I've just brought in that single rod that was off the baited patch, flicked it back out about 30 or so yards, so half the distance of what I'm already currently fishing. Just been and grabbed some boilies, just going to give it probably a real light scattering, nothing crazy, just enough to maybe grab some attention if there are any fish in the area. These are sort of 10 mils and 15 mils. They've been soaking all week in the CSL liquid, krill and tuna CSL liquid, and they absolutely hum. They've taken on quite a lot of that liquid so far, so hopefully they're going to release all the smells and stuff, and hopefully a fish can just come around, pick one or two of them off, and mine obviously with the pink topper is going to be amongst them as well, so hopefully that's going to be the most visible one down there that they're going to come and want to get involved in. So without further ado, let's get a couple of handfuls of bait out over that rig, and make a little baited patch for that one. Let's give that a few hours and see what happens. But it's encouraging that we've seen fish in at least one or two of our areas, so let's flick a few baits out and hope something comes of it. Through really what was in my spot mix for today that I've been putting out onto that 60-yard spot. So first off, I'm using the Baittech chili hemp. Now obviously this is as fresh as you can get. It's packed full of chili flakes inside there. Smells amazing, so full of juices as well. All the goodness is still packed inside that tin, so I use the remainder of that tin in there. Obviously there's a load of roach, bream, etc. in here as well, so don't know how long it's lasting, but still just got to give the spot a top up in a little while. So there's the rest of the contents of that tin in there. Next, I've been glugging some Triple M boilies for the best part of a week with some of this stuff, Super CSL liquid. It's the krill and tuna one, and it absolutely reeks. So I've got obviously the nuttiness of the baits, but they've obviously taken on board a lot of that liquid. So they're going to be giving off, you know, a smell, attraction that's all going to leak through the water column as they're going out, and hopefully drawing fish into the area. So although it's not obviously the matching liquid for the baits, I wanted something that was quite sort of pungent and smelly to hopefully draw fish in, like I say, to the area. So I opted for this. It's obviously nice and thin. It's obviously going to disperse in the water. It's not going to be too oily or anything like that for these, obviously coming into these colder conditions. So in here I've got the 10mm and the 15mm, so a couple of different sizes in there, and I'm just literally going to put a good couple of handfuls. To be honest, there's not many left. Just going to put the remainder of that bag in, less than half a kilo anyway. Just pour all them juices left over out of these bag, so that's empty. And that's the beauty with these bags, are resealable, so obviously you can just keep them in the bag and give them a shake every day, every couple of days or so, just to get that liquid moving around. So that's pretty much it for the base of this mix really. 10mm boilies, 15mm boilies, and naturally hemp. And give that a little bit of a mix around, and as you can see, it's just a real basic, simple mix. Didn't really want loads of bits and pieces in there, like I say, because if there are a load of bream and bits and, you know, smaller bits and pieces in here, then I wanted to kind of keep it as chunkier as possible really, without going sort of OTT on particle and stuff like that. So that hemp will obviously make a nice little carpet, and then there's obviously boilies that they can mooch in and around and hopefully pick off in my two amongst a mix with the tippers on the end. So yeah, that's essentially the mix. Hasn't done me anything yet, but still, we're only early doors, we're only halfway through the day, and I'm going to get this out onto the spot, give it a few more spoms worth, and just keep those attractions and those baits going into the area. So hopefully, like I say, drawing carp down, and fingers crossed, nicking myself a fish. So it's just prepping that bait for putting out a few spoms, and the left-hander is absolutely ripped off. Literally done what felt like a 100-meter sprint, but it's actually like 20 meters, and the left-hander is just churning out with line. Not actually seen the fish yet.
Bream.
It's quite deep in these margins, but the one toner that it did give off says to me that it's definitely, well, hopefully, a carp. The fish has just come up, and it's definitely not a bream. Got an angry little comment attached to the one that I dropped in short after seeing that fish show earlier on. This is the one, this shorter rod that I decided to just ping off, bring it in and just ping it short
nice
onto that fish that I saw. Come on then, get in that net. Get in there, come on. Get in there. Oh wow, here we go then. The reward of moving that rod in short after seeing that fish show earlier. Believe it or not, this little chunky monkey is only literally tipping the scales at £19. Got a nice little gut on it, and you can see where that power came from to take away that first rip roaring take. So then here's the other side, my first reservoir carp, £19, absolute immaculate common, taken on that Triple N 80mm hard hooker dumbbell, tipped off with that fluoro pink super fruit pop-up, just giving that a little bit of visual aspect to the bait. And obviously when just after seeing that fish show early doors, I obviously moved that rod onto the area and put out a couple of catties as well, and obviously it's paid dividends because I've got this nice proper chunky 19-pounder. Bit deceiving on the mat, it's got a nice gut to it and it looked a lot bigger. We were saying easily 20 plus. But let's get some stills and and slip it back. Right, so whilst I've got both the rods in, the one off that I've just had the fish off and the one off the baited patch, I've decided to bring them both in so that they're both fishing shorter, like 30 yards or so. The baited patch isn't really doing anything and obviously I've just had a fish, so it'd be silly not to bring another one into the mix and hopefully double my chances of a fish. So let's quickly run through the tactics that I'm using for today's session. As normal, just using lead clip system with a 3 ounce organic lead from my friends over at Southwest Leads. Like I say, that's just rig tubing down to a lead clip, and then a quick link swivel under there so I can loop on the fresh rigs, and just a sleeve over the top for obviously anti-tangle purposes. That's about 7 and 8 inches in size, down to the rig end, the hook end, which is tied slip D style. Now I always use this for my bottom baits and wafters, a rig that I've got the utmost confidence in. So that's down to a size 4 quarter curve, and that is mounted onto the bait swivel, which obviously gives free movement when the fish is blowing the bait out up and down the shank of the hook. That's acting as the hair essentially, but obviously the swivel is the free movement of the bait. So that is the Bait Tech hard hooker, the triple N one. As you can see, that's flush against the pop-up itself. So what I've done is I've just taken a scalpel and just cut the sort of rounded end off, and chopped the pop-up in half as well, just so that they fit flush together. And obviously in the lake, that one just pops itself upright. It's a little bit more buoyant with the obviously the pop-up on top, so that just allows that to sort of waft around, and the hook to say lead on the deck. So that's the tactics for today on all 3 rods. As I mentioned earlier, I tried 3 different colours to start with, and it looks like bringing that short one in on top of that showing fish, and using that bright attractive super fruit high vis pop-up, the pink one, that seems to have done the damage. So replicated that again on another rod, brought it off the baited patch, and that's going to go out as well. So let's get 2 out in the shorter zone, and then I'll look at topping up the later longer spot a little bit later on. Right, it's a real quick update. It's just gone 3 o'clock, and it's gone flat calm, not a single bit of wind on such a big open space. Look at that, literally not a single breeze at all, just flat calm all the way through, which obviously makes fish spotting easy, or any, you know, subtle signs of fish. But the temperature's definitely dropping as well. I think it's going to be a clear night, because it's meant to be quite a sunny day tomorrow, so I've got a feeling it's going to be maybe quite a crisp and clear night. So like I say, it's just gone 3 o'clock, nothing else has happened since that last fish. I don't know if I mentioned earlier, but obviously the angling pressure's doubled in size since sort of late this morning. Obviously there was us 3, me, Matt and Jake, but since then 3 others have turned up as well. So they are on the far side and 1 right down in the corner from me. I haven't seen anything else happen yet throughout the day with anybody else. Got a feeling maybe down in the corner there may have lost 2 fish, not 100% sure. But apart from that, in eyesight, from what I can see, no one else has had anything. So just going to sit it out for the next sort of couple of hours or so, and see what happens. But fingers crossed we can maybe nick another one late doors. The rods are out, baits are out, you know, there's bait over the top of them all, so there's no reason why we can't nick another one. What do you reckon, Matt? Probably not. Feeling confident? Always confident. So let's see what happens then over the next couple of hours, and obviously if anything does happen in between then and now, we will get the camera on. But I'm just gonna stand back in look at this view really and see if we can see any signs of fish. So we'll catch up with you later on. Right, time's now starting to draw in. What's the time? 4:20. But we've just seen, as I was mentioning, obviously it's flat calm, literally flat calm, and we've just seen some sort of disturbance, some sort of rings far just between these sort of just in line with this blue buoy here, just sort of I don't know, just to the right of that white V. So I'm gonna whip me middle rod in, so one of the two that I brought in short, the middle one, I'm just gonna wham that out as literally as far as I can, leave the one on the baited patch and then leave the left hander where I had that fish from earlier. So obviously got about, you know, maybe hour, 2 hours tops left. It'd be silly not to put one over there just after seeing that subtle little sign. It worked for me earlier, obviously casting to that show. So like I say, got, you know, hour, 2 hours tops left before we head off. So I'm going to get this rod in, get that straight out, and get a little bit of bait scattered over the top with a throwing stick with the help of Matt, because I'm an absolute novice when it comes to throwing stick, and I don't want to spray bait here, there and everywhere, because believe it or not, right down in that other corner there's about 1,000,001 seagulls. So I want to get the rod in there and get this bait out as discreetly as possible without causing too much disturbance over there. So let's get all this sorted, and fingers crossed it results in a bonus fish. That's us done. Just making the short journey home, and just the one fish to show for our efforts today. As I mentioned earlier, there was me, Matt, Jake and 3 other anglers dotted around the res, but as far as we're aware, only that one fish come out. Now we're just going to make a short diversion to the kebab shop. So made a little wager, didn't I, with Matt before I had that fish, that whoever catches basically buys the other one dinner on the way home. So we're going to make our way over to the kebabi. I feel a nice extra large chicken or something like that coming my way. But yeah, enjoyable day. It's good to get out, change of scenery. Glad to have caught, obviously, but someone that I'll definitely be going back to, because there are some absolute scaly bangers in there, and I really want one of them attached to any one of my 3 rods. So yeah, definitely someone that I'll come back to in video again, hopefully. As normal, thanks for watching. This is probably going to be quite a short vlog due to obviously lack of action throughout the day, but yeah, as always, thanks for watching. Feel free to comment below, etc. as always, and come and say hello over on my Facebook page. Speak to you soon, guys.